the big one. Port Adelaide taking on Geelong. The ball to the ground. In there is, of course, Geneva working hard. But umpire Ross Castles, the Victorian umpire today, will call for a bounce down. Big crowd building up here at Football Park. I reckon there'd be at least 15,000 people who can't get into the ground at the moment. And that's very, very sad. Down goes the bounce. Up the big men go. Johnson over the top. Gets the football, throws it out. Socket off the ground by Tregenza. Comes towards Hutton. He has a bit of the fumbles. Taps it on. Allows Geelong in possession now. They go towards centre half forward. Looking out there for Stoneham. He can't take the mark. Throws it out wide. Comes towards half forward. A chance now for Carrera of Port Adelaide. He has possession. Goes towards the boundary. He's got to get a free kick for a high tackle. He wasn't impressed, and Carrera will take the first free kick of the match for Port Adelaide.
Yeah, that tackle a little bit sloppy by Shane Hamilton. So it's Carrera from deep in defence, puts it up to the grandstand wing. Front position there was Yates. He couldn't take the mark. The crumbs were well read as Geelong go forward once more. This time it was through Gary Cameron. The crumbs have been picked up now by David Cameron. It's a wobbly kick forward. Stoneham can't control it. And there's a touch of nerves out there at the moment, Ken, as Michael Abbott blows the whistle. North East gets up swinging. Well, let's say a little bit of slap and tickle, not really swinging. Umpires officiating are Michael Abbott from South Australia and Ross Castle from Victoria. It's down to Stephen Williams now. He will use the football. He's brilliant at doing that. Drives it in long, looking for Setri. Couldn't find that player. Back there is Stephen Hocking. Dispossessed, picked up by Setri. Unprotected goal. But it's going away to the right. And that's the first score of the game. 1 point to Port Adelaide.
There's certainly a touch of nerve by both sides, and an injured player coming off for Geelong. As we see the action now, Port Adelaide first to score. Michael Cole comes on, number 37. Port Adelaide 1 point, the catch yet to score. The kickoff goes up towards the centre of the ground. Up there we see Bill Brownless going up in front and takes a fine mark. Brownless starting at centre half back on Darren Smith. Kicks towards the centre of the ground. It's good football on this occasion. The mark taken by Fletcher. Plays on quickly. Out wide he goes out there to number 13, which is Gary Cameron. The fit of the fumbles. Finally gets it out wide there to Couch. Couch towards half forward. A chance now for Stoneham. Bounces in front of him towards the boundary line and goes out of play. Phillips, of course, and Stoneham. That should be a fantastic duel. Stoneham and also Phillips. 2.5 minutes into the first term here. Port Adelaide 1 point, going with the breeze. Russell Johnson in front. Over the top went Burke. Back towards the centre of the ground. Bumped away a charge now for Abernethy. Takes possession, does it cleverly. Abba onto the left boot towards centre half foot. It's not a good kick, and Geelong will take the mark here through the agency of Michael Cole.
Here's Cole, who just came onto the ground, replacing Darren Troy. It appears that Troy may have pulled a hamstring. Cole kicks to the outer side. It's a wobbly kick. It wasn't well directed. We'll put it this way, it wasn't well flighted. The handball now goes over the top. Out there looking for Geelong, that appears to be Cameron, Gary Cameron. Into attack once more. It's put up high. Back there is Excel. Hamilton was the player to put the ball forward, and the mark's been taken by Excel.
He's been stood by a new boy from Port Adelaide, and that is Keenan Reynolds. On the mark now, that's Gavin Excel with the football. But Reynolds is the boy on the mark, playing his first game for Port Adelaide. I believe a former Essendon player, Kim.
It's a difficult pocket. Excel, steady, smooth approach, and he's put it through the middle for the first goal of the game. Around as Rowan Smith puts Port Adelaide forward, but the Port forward line is playing from behind at this stage as the ball's pushed out towards Gary Hocking, and he's a fiery player, is Hocking, as he hooks that back around his body, and that's a courageous mark taken by Couch.
Couch at centre wing. The handball away. Goes over the top to Morgan, who's playing pretty well for the Cats. Kicks high towards the forward area. Thumped away by Reynolds. Ball to ground. Russell Johnson busted off the ball. In fact, it was Hines who was the player. Taken by Geelong. Well, it's sloppy work at the moment. Gary Keane with the football now. Back towards Tregenza. Tregenza back towards centre wing. Up high went Abernethy. Couldn't take the mark. Down goes young Setri. Darren Smith is in there. Working hard. Scrambling football at the moment. Comes out towards Bruns. Drummond Smith, the tackler. The handball away. Or a high tackle appeared to be put on a Port Adelaide player, not paid. Chance now for Carrera. In there is Setri. He's bundled up the football. The tackling is quick at the moment. back towards Stephen Williams. A high kick up towards half forward, but it's all the Cats here through Brownless, who's playing a superb game at centre-half back.
Yes, they're not all that fluent up forward at the moment, Port Adelaide, as the ball is put out towards Darcy. Represented Victoria last season, had a great year, as the ball is now put out towards David Cameron. He's kicked 1 point for the match, and he places that beautifully in towards Keane. Keane just lays back on that kick, looking for Exel. Out there is Keenan in opposition. Exel did that well on impossible angle, but he centred the ball magnificently. Ablett. Well, a little bit of luck there. I thought initially that Exel was going to try the impossible, but he was pinned to the boundary line, so he attempted to centre the ball. And Mr. Magic, Gary Ablett, completed the mark, and I can tell you he does not miss many, and I doubt if he'll miss from only 15 to 20 metres out.
John Cale, Browning at the moment. Geelong have taken the initiative in the early parts of this game. Gary Ablett, the league superstar, kicks accurately for his first. And Geelong 3-2-20, Port Adelaide 4 points.
There we see the tackle on Exel. It was applied by Keenan Reynolds. I apologise, I have been calling him Keenan, but front position to Ablett, and he completes the mark. As we mentioned before, Keenan Reynolds is over on trial from Essendon. Played for the Bombers reserves. 3-2, plays 4 points. Umpires officiating. Ross Castle from Victoria, Michael Abbott from South Australia. Whilst this is a pre-season game, the atmosphere certainly represents more of a final. The ball goes out towards Phillips. I would imagine he'll start to feel the heat come about the second or third quarter. A little behind in his preparation. That tackle was crude, and the free kick will go the way of Stoneham.
Stoneham with the free kick. Out of side. A long kick up towards full forward, looking for Abbott. Hines comes in, thumped away from that player. Ball to ground. Working hard out there is Keane. Exel with a high kick up towards full forward. It'll be offline. Wait on the goal umpire. Inaccurately, and they've added a further point to their score. The Cats, they go to 3-3-21. Port Adelaide 4 points. Other warm conditions here at Football Park. Big crowd, and there are thousands, literally, that cannot get into this ground at the moment. Left their run far too late. The kickoff comes by Reynolds towards the grandstand side. Looking out here for Darren Smith. He's a long way from centre-half forward. Takes the mark. The kick. It's a shocker off the side of the boot. Out of bounds on the full. And the free kick will be taken by Fletcher.
First serious hit out for both sides this season, and a few players still honing their skills, as we see Brownless just say to Darren Smith, anything you can do, I can do just as bad. And places that ball over the boundary line. Northeast has the rather difficult task of looking after Ablett today. Rowan Smith applies the pressure to Stephen Hocking, and that ball goes over the line. Ablett has 1 goal. He's only had 1 kick, in fact. We've had 21.5 minutes into the first term. As the ball's tapped down towards Couch. Bullet-like handball out looking for Hocking. Stephen Williams playing close attendance to that player. Out to Rowan Smith. Cleverly tapped it down to Abernathy. That's the Port Adelaide we're used to seeing. Fluent, slick football as it goes out towards David Brown. Places it up high. Setting himself. Hodges tries to punch it back. There's no one home though. Yates will be the first player there. Hodges needs support. Setri picks up the football. The handball went out towards Cole. He intercepted brilliantly. Big Johnston trying hard. Cole soccering it off the ground. And that could be kicking in danger. Not seen that way by the umpire. And great desperate defensive play by Cole.
So she's come onto the ground for the Cats in the opening moments of the first quarter from the reserve bench. Cole's played pretty well in defence. Russell Johnson taps it down to Setri. Kicks a high ball. Doesn't cover much territory. Abernathy coming in. Can't take the mark. Thumped away. Bruns, also Tregenza, towards the boundary line. Bruns takes possession. Does it cleverly. The experience told there. The high kick back towards centre wing. Thumped away from Stone, and the ball goes out of play. Centre wing out of side. Port Adelaide 4 points. Geelong 3-3-21. Darren Troy there with a nice pack on his thigh. He left the ground in the opening moments of the game. Former South Adelaide player. Players working hard the outer side, trying to get it out. That's got to be holding the cherry, surely. Yes, the free kick for Port Adelaide will be taken by Greg Phillips. Greg Phillips, centre wing outer side, will put Port Adelaide into attack, and yet to get their first major on the board. Greg Phillips, centre wing outer side, looks towards Darren Smith. That's the way that goes. With him is Brownless. Behind Darren Smith. Oh, it's a great mark by the blonde boy. It's a handball out to Brown. Brown in towards Hodges. A beautiful pass. Has he taken the mark? He has. Scotty Hodges a chance now to convert for the Maggies. And boy, oh boy, it's a parochial crowd here this afternoon. Even the non-Port Adelaide supporters are cheering for the Magpies. You see Scotty Hodges, Port Adelaide going towards the lake end. And he put their first major on the board. They need it. The kick's on its way. The goal on fire. He says it's home. That's the first major for the Maggies. They go to 1-4-10. The Cats 3-3-21.
And that was brilliant play. It was set up by a tremendous mark taken by Darren Smith. He had to come from behind over Andrew Rogers. He fed the handball out towards David Brown. He's been a busy little rover in this first term, and his pass was bullet-like, and the mark was taken by a diving Scott Hodges. 1-4 plays 3-3. An 11-point advantage to the Cats at this stage, and it will be umpire Ross Castle to bounce the ball once more. Hines opposed to Keane.
Now goes the bounce. Neither player got a significant tap away. Comes towards Ablett. He loses possession. Taken by Williams. All the handball is loose. Carrera come through for Port Adelaide. Runs straight at the football. That's good work. Goes back onto his right boot. A chance now for Tregenza. Can he take the mark? He can. He covers some ground quickly. Goes short towards Stephen Williams. He marks. Port Adelaide now once again going into attack up towards half forward, but coming out here is Darcy, and he'll take the mark in defence there for the Cats. Darcy now half back out of side, goes back towards the centre of the ground, looking out there for Stoneham in front, northeast. Stoneham over the top, can't complete the mark, taken by Setri. A great handball to Brown. Brown into the pocket. Hodges, has he got him? He has. Hodges takes the mark.
Well, the smaller men starting to inflict a little bit of pain on Geelong at this stage. Certainly been busy player, David Brown, and of course Setri's been in everything. He's been like salt and pepper, but perhaps just not quite finishing off his work as efficiently as David Brown. Hodges, an opportunity to post his second, puts it up high. Gee, that's not a bad kick, but it's just gone across the face of goal and through for another point. So Port Adelaide taking it right up to Geelong. They're on 1-5, Geelong 3-3, and we've had 25.5 minutes of this first term.
Pretty warm conditions here at headquarters. This big interstate game between Port Adelaide and Geelong. The kick-off is a lovely kick down towards Burke. He can't take the mark. Working hard there is Morgan. Coming in for Port Adelaide is Hines. Does it well. Back towards full forward. Hodges in front. Thumped away. Ball to ground. He never set trick. Can he get position? No, he can't. Players working hard for the footing. But umpire Ross Carson has found a free kick to Geelong. Goes short. In towards Morgan, who's played pretty well for Geelong. The kicker smothered. A chance now for Russell Johnson. He's got to beat two players. He can't quite do that. There's a chance now for Fletcher. Fletcher up towards centre half forward it goes. Ablett in front, can't complete the mark. Taken by Fiarchi. The long handball over towards Brown, who's playing superbly for the Magpies. Goes out towards Hutton at centre wing. Again, the Magpies into attack up towards Hodges. There's two players. Stephen Williams or Hodges. Or Stephen Williams thought about playing on and changed his mind at the last moment. But Port Adelaide now in this last few moments of this first quarter. The smaller players, as Kim mentioned to you, starting to really hurt Geelong.
And perhaps John Cale winning the first tactical battle. Stephen Williams started in the middle. David Brown was roving, but they've made the switch, and Williams now in the pocket, and it's paid off. He's kicked the goal, and Brown is certainly creating some damage in the centre. Port Adelaide move on to 2-5, trailing Geelong 3-3. We've had 27 minutes of this first term, and that was a great mark taken by Williams. I can tell you what, if he didn't take it, Scott Hodges would have.
Yes, Port Adelaide now have looked a lot better in this last few minutes of the first quarter. Brown in the square. Burke versus Johnson. Chetri is there. Down goes the bounce. Burke, Johnson, Burke with the tap. Taken on that occasion by Couch. Up towards full forward it goes. Looking for excellent. Oh, in front was Reynolds. Did it well. Ablett tried to kick off the ground, missed. A chance now for Hamilton. Hamilton towards the goals and slightly offline. And a minor score there to the Cats. They go to 3-4-22. Port Adelaide 2-5-17. Almost 28 minutes gone the first quarter.
3 minutes into time on. The ball is put out by Keenan Reynolds, and he finds Adrian Setri. Fiarchi provides the run. It's a good lead, and it's a beautifully positioned kick. Fiarchi on the half-back line, grandstand side at the southern end of Football Park, kicks it up high, looking for Rowan Smith. He'll have to sit underneath this one. Darren Smith came from behind. Johnston picked it up like a rover. The handball back to a rover in Brown. He's kept it in play. That was clever football. The crowd appreciated that. They're not all that happy about that mark taken by Yates as he feeds it off to Cole. He goes the wrong way, has to kick around his body. But the mark's been taken there by Adrian Fletcher. Been a good player in the first term.
Fletcher now, half-back flank towards Sinawing he goes. Well, marks have been taken by Katz there, took his eyes off the football. Stoneham playing well at centre-half forward, has the football at centre wing around his body towards half-forward. Abernethy dropped the mark he should have taken on that occasion. Gary Hocking working hard, Couch with the football. Handballs loosely, Carrera comes in, thumps it away. Abernethy's in there. They're working hard. Play called on by the umpire. Taken by Couch, who dribbles a kick towards half-forward. Abbott being pursued by North East. Abbott does it cleverly. Gains possession. Great tackle. Handball away on this occasion. Great pressure football by Port Adelaide. There's a kick by, on that occasion, Cameron goes out of play on the full. Great pressure football by the Maggies.
The one thing Gary Ablett will find this afternoon is that very rarely you can shrug a tackle off from Paul North East. He's a solid, young, determined man. And this is Keenan Reynolds with the football. Puts it out wide. The siren sounds to end the first term. Port Adelaide 2 goals 5-17. Trailing Geelong with 3 goals 4-22.
Russell Johnson, he takes the football, but it's smothered. Comes out towards Brown. He's tackled by, on that occasion, Williams. Kicked towards half-forward by Geneva. Chance for Yates of Geelong. Gains possession. The handball. Back towards Phillips. Or snared by Rowan Smith. Over the top towards Darren Smith. Port Adelaide going into towards full forward. Setri there. Cole Setri, beautifully done. Can he kick a goal? No, he can't. Great work by Setri. That's his 4th point, I believe. Gained possession superbly, but couldn't convert a major. Setri as Port Adelaide go to 4-9-33, Geelong 12-10.
Well, he's been quite impressive, Setri, in gaining the football, but just hasn't quite finished his work off. As Ken mentioned, 4 points. Stoneham, the meat and the sandwich, couldn't take the mark. Darren Smith kicked the ball off the ground. He's had some useful touches this afternoon, Darren Smith, but he was opposed to Bill Brownless in the first half. And Big Billy also was having a great game. But Smith has certainly given them something to think about. Testing the ruck work here, takes front position. Or looking for a free kick, none forthcoming. Geneva puts the ball up high. Wanganeen underneath that and didn't have the body strength to hold out his opponent as the ball's punched forward by Tim Darcy. He represented Victoria this year. He's a much improved player, or last year I should say. But that kick's gone straight to George Fiarchi. Plays on quickly to North East. Placed that player under enormous pressure. Johnston underneath that. And Port Adelaide have continued to play short. The handball picked up beautifully on the half volley by Hutton. He drives it in long. Port from behind once more. The crumbs taken by Hines. The handball out to Setri. Can he snare a goal? No, he couldn't even kick another point. He's placed that one out of bounds on the full.
Gee whiz, young Adrian Setri. Well, he's gained possession superbly. Off hands in a good handball out wide to Setri. Again, Setri with a snapshot, unable to convert. The kick by Yates. Back towards centre wing. Off hands, Rowan Smith with a chance. Throws it out towards Geneva, smothered. Stoneham over the top. Bruns, been a very useful player for the Cats today. Kicks towards half forward, looking for Extel. With him as Phillips. Extel first player of the football and is sat upon by the big bear. And in fact, he paid a free kick. Well, what for? He had the football, he was tackled. What are you supposed to do? Let him have a kick. Extel with the free kick. Strike me pink. I reckon that's the game flow in Victoria. Nice ticky touch with free kick. There's Exwell up towards full forward. Linden up high, but oh, great mark. Great mark there. Been taken by Morgan. In fact, it's Keane. Keane at full forward. Strong mark in front of the scoreboard here. Strong hands under enormous pressure. And that was a great mark by Gary Keane. 40 metres from goal. A left footer. Kick in the square. North East dumps it through. A minor score to the Cats. 12-11. Geelong 83. Port Adelaide 4-9-33.
Well, Malcolm Blight mentioned yesterday that he was quite impressed with Gary Keane, former Fitzroy player, expecting a big year from him down at Cardinia Park this year. It's Keenan Reynolds once more. This time he opts for the centre of the ground, looking for Darren Smith, using a little bit of illegal pushing there, a la Malcolm Blight in his heyday. Play on the call. Now it's allowed to flow. It goes out wide. Bruns was tackled. Geneva in there. Bruns still in there. Geneva picked up the football cleverly around his body. Puts it up high. Taken by Setri. There's the quick handle. That's better play over to Brown. In turn, Tregenza drops in a short one. And Darcy didn't take This should be a goal. It's gone to Setri, and it's going to Robinson, and he finally kicked one, and he couldn't have done it in a more ungainly fashion.
Super work here. That's Brown. Back to Tregenza. I thought they'd done too much. This is a poor kick by Tregenza. Darcy almost the mark. Taken on that occasion by Hines. Setri tackle. Runs into the player, but as Kim has told you, he's wobbled through. Now, Port Adelaide 5-9-39. Geelong 12-11-83.
39 plays 83. The ball centre field once more. 2 quick goals by Port Adelaide have instilled a little bit of life in this huge crowd here at Football Park. Stoneham won the tap. Williams in there. He looks a tired player. He was retarded. We're not in possession. And the star centreman for Port Adelaide will put his side back into attack. It's a towering torpedo punt. Hines, big lead, and what a grab. And the crowd have come alive here at Football Park. But by gee, haven't Port Adelaide given Geelong a start. That's a big leap by Hines. Let's hope he can finish it off. Kicking from about 25, 30 metres out. Kick on its way. It's through the middle, and Hines has posted his second, both in this turn.
Well, that's a great mark by Hines. Had the sit, eyes on the football, and completed the mark at the second attempt. The last 4 or 5 minutes, the Magpies have well and truly come alive. The big fella, there he is. Hines at full forward. Tim Darcy is his opponent. The ball being relayed back to centre, and there's an enormous crowd in the last 5 or 6 minutes, as Kim just told you, really coming alive. 9 minutes into the third quarter. The Cats 12-11, Port Adelaide 6-9. Umpire Mick Abbott. Down goes the bounce. Up they go. Stoneham, Johnson, ball to ground. A chance on this occasion for Phillips. Back towards Greg Phillips of Port Adelaide. Can he take it? Stephen Williams is a player, rather. In he goes. Great deal of vigour being used. Russell Johnson got pushed in the back and seen by umpire Ross Castle. Away he goes. A long handball taken by Hutton. Hutton, can he get a kick? Yes, up towards full forward it goes. Hines from behind. Darcy in front. Play on is the call. Young Sestri's in there trying to get the ball out. The bottom of the pack. Can't quite doing so. And it's a bit of rough stuff there. Setri doesn't like the treatment he's been given by Darcy. Umpire Mick Abbott has a quiet word to both players, and he'll have a bounce.
Well, the tempo certainly has lifted, and by gee, hasn't Setri been aggressive at the ball, working tigerishly on the bottom of the pack. The ball punched out wide there towards, that appeared to be Trevor Paul. He's onto the ground, the former Richmond player. And we'll have a throw in the right forward pocket at the northern end here of Football Park on the outer side. They need another goal, the Pies, to get back in the hunt. The ball comes down the ground. In there was Hocking, Stephen Hocking. The ball now in turn out towards Darcy. Darcy pushes it out wide, but the mark's been taken there by Phillips. Phillips plays on quickly. It's a one-on-one battle here. Northeast takes that ball over the boundary line, just in advance of Paul Brown, and we'll have a throw in by the interchange gate, grandstand side of Football Park.
A lot more urgency in Port Adelaide's game in this third quarter, as we see Wellesby, the former Sturt player, in front contesting against Darren Smith. Roman Smith's in there. Darren Smith with a handball to Williams, back to northeast. A wobbly kick up towards centre half forward. Over the top, chance for Wanganeen. Has the football, then loses it. Goes in again. Oh, it's met heavily. Collision of players. Wanganeen gets a high tackle. A free kick has been paid to Wanganeen. Gee whiz, Port Adelaide in the last 5 or 6 minutes have really erupted, their Maggies. Wanganeen up towards full forward. Up they go. Hodges couldn't take the mark. Chance now for Morgan. Throws it out wide. Phillips. The Cats working the ball out of defence back towards centre wing. Full northeast. Also coming there, Stoneham. Stoneham with the football. Centre wing. Grandstand side up towards full forward. Oh, strong mark has been taken on that occasion by the Cats. Number 22, which is Gary Keane, around the corner, and Exel takes the mark. Exel now no more than about 35 metres from goal. Gavin Exel, number 17. Booted one. Going towards the golf course end. Kick. Umpire says no. Only a minor score. The Cats 12-12-84. Port Adelaide 6-9-45. 12 minutes into the third quarter.
Well, Phillips is finding it quite difficult out there at the moment. He has Exel to contend with. He's a very mobile and fleet of foot player. And the conditions, I would say, starting to get to Greg Phillips. He's looking very heavy in the legs. He has front possession, but he still takes a mark, and he's all heart, this fellow, because it wouldn't be easy out there. He's had a interrupted preparation. He had a nasty gash in his foot while holidaying, had stitches placed in that. So he's out there working hard as the handball now goes out towards a running player in Morgan. Flirting with the boundary line. He in turn gets it over towards Gary Cameron. He's kicked 2 goals. He's looking to centre the ball. He sits it up high. Fiarchi will have to go. Good spoil. In there is Keane. Paddles the ball forward. Fiarchi takes the football, though, trying to get the handball away. That was nearly holding the ball. It's kicked off the ground. This is trouble for the Magpies. Picked up by Exel. Great smother by Tregenza. In there is Cameron once more. He's tackled. In fact, that was Morgan. The handball. Here's a chance for the Magpies. It's taken by Brown. Short putt. Whoa! Front on. No free kick. You've got to be joking. Play on the call as the ball's kicked to the boundary line, and I'm staggered over that.
You're staggered. Strike me, Pink. What are you got to do to get a free kick? Have a look at this. Head down. And if you don't mind, that's not a free kick. I'll go here for chasing. Boundary umpire brings the ball in. Wellesby and Darren Smith. Darren Smith with a tap straight down to Brown. Is it out of bounds on the full? Yes, it is. David Wellesby, of course, the former Sturt player, now playing a 10.5 back. A free kick to the Cats. David Brown, great first quarter for Port Adelaide. It's Yates with the football now, back towards centre wing. Looking out there for Keane, in front, Port Adelaide player Russell Johnson, and he takes the mark. Flanked by Abernathy with the socks down. A long kick up towards full forward. Players using the body. A chance for Wangan into an open goal. It's home! Another goal to the Pies.
Yes, a great goal there by young Wangan. He's the player of the future at that stage. Geelong led by 33 points. We'll go back with more highlights very, very shortly. But for now, let's have a National 9 News update with Georgina Thomas.
Johnson with the tap. In goes Keane. Handball out towards centre half forward. In there on that occasion was Brown, but it's stolen by Phillips. He's got a second lease of life, and he finds Hutton. He's got a new set of legs, I think. Hutton up towards half forward, or chance for Hines into the pocket. Does it cleverly, straightens up, kicks towards goal. Strike me, Pinky's missed. Minor score there to the Magpies. 7-10-52, Geelong 12-12, 84. But certainly, Kim, a lot more endeavour. There it is. Done that before somewhere.
Yeah, I've heard it too. Thanks very much, Ken. Look at this by Hines. Tremendous play. Used his body to perfection. Perhaps didn't quite take his time there. And, gee, a goal there would have really... Yeah, we'll put the Magpie amongst the Cats. As Darcy kicks down the middle of the ground. Not a bad-looking kick. Oh, front position, Johnston. Rowan Smith's got to lift his game. He's got to get into the action. The ball's socket out to the open spaces. Abernathy, 2 against 1. It's socket towards the boundary once more. Northeast with an opportunity. Tries to go it alone. The handball, he couldn't get it away effectively. Wellesby back towards Hocking. Stephen Hocking, that is. In turn, it's the running player in Gary Cameron. He's had 1 bounce. He kicked 2 goals. Back there is Foster. Oh, Linda's taken it. And it's 50 metres as well. George Fiarchi coming in. He had no reason to do that whatsoever. Bruce Linda's not the most accurate kick, but there's no way in the world he'll miss from there. And George, you want to think about doing this if you're playing in defence, because it's pointless.
Well, it's ridiculous because it gives away a 15-metre on that occasion, straightened up for the player from point-blank range. And that's Bruce Linda's first goal, which we see here in replay. Linda had taken the mark, used his body beautifully, and George had no reason to come in there, no reason at all. As a consequence, that's Geelong's first goal for the quarter. 16.5 minutes in.
Yeah, that was silly football. 7-10 plays 13-12. 6 goals to the difference. Not beyond Port Adelaide, but it certainly won't be an easy task. But this has been better football in this third term. It's been a delight to watch, irrespective of who's leading on the scoreboard. Darren Smith in there, taken by Tregenza, puts it up high. Can Port Adelaide come back with a quick reply? Setri! Oh, he's enjoying playing in front of this big crowd. The nerves have settled a little bit, but that's an awful kick. Oh, geez, rushed his work today. Phillips, good spoil. Exel still over the football, taps it out. Looking there for Brown, Paul Brown, and now goes back towards Exel. Sits it up high. Young Reynolds there, but it's picked up by Stoneham round his body, and they bang through another one. And let's put a bit of a dampener on this turn.
Gee, he did that superbly for a big man. He really did, Stoneham. Fine player, beautifully balanced. As we see here, the kick comes in from Exel. Players using their body. It was Reynolds and Stoneham picked it up in the left hand, onto the left boot, knew where the goals were, and made no mistake. Geelong 14-12-96, Port Adelaide 7-10-52, 18 minutes into the third quarter. Back with umpire Michael Abbott. It's Keane and Johnson. About to do battle. Setry's there. Stephen Williams. Down goes the bounce. Johnson got his hands to the ball, but taken by Keane. Geelong into attack towards centre half forward, but a good mark by Abernathy at centre half back. Looks to go to the outer side, and a 50-metre penalty kick. Now that's the second one paid by umpire Mick Abbott. First time we've seen this rule here in South Australia. Abernathy kicks up towards full forward, but there Darcy takes a fine mark.
Should have been a free kick down the ground. Linda can't tackle from behind. He wasn't even on the mark. Nevertheless, the ball out wide with Gary Cameron. Places it on the ground. The handball over the top to Bruns. Straightens his body, gets onto the right boot. A very good player, Neville Bruns. He stood the test of time, and that's the mark of any good footballer. Throw in on the outer side. 18, in fact 19 minutes into this third term. Port Adelaide 7-10, Geelong 14-12, 52 plays 96. The Pies need a few goals to keep in touch. Linda crashes his way through. The handball comes out towards Couch. He's been quiet this afternoon. Sweeping handball out towards Brown. This will be a certain goal. He's 20 metres out. No pressure. Geelong have kicked their 15.
Umpire Ross Castle about to start proceedings. It's Geelong by 50 points. Bounce down. Brown goes in hard, busted off the ball by Andrew Rogers. Players working hard in there. Brown again on the bottom of the pack. But in the interim, Mick Abbott has called for a bounce. Well, Port Adelaide started superb in this third quarter. Kick 4 in a hurry, but Geelong have kicked the last 3. Thumped away by Johnson, but straight to Bruns. He's had a fantastic game. Kicks towards centre half forward, but marked by Phillips. Out towards Tregenza. He marks. Centre wing, half forward he goes. Looking for Wanganeen. With him out there is Trevor Poole, but Wanganeen, great pace. Centres the ball up towards full forward it goes. Players using their body. Darcy is there. Darren Smith tries to get a kick away, but it's smothered. Thumped away, back in towards the pocket. Yates there with a chance, but the ball goes out of play right alongside the behind post. It's the Cats, 15-12, 102. Port Adelaide, 7-10-52. 20 minutes into the third quarter.
Well, a quick tap and a snap would be handy here. It's Hines to do the ruck work. Takes front position. Couldn't win the football, though. It now goes down towards Ball Ace, who's onto the ground. He's normally good around the goals, and he's banged through one straight away. Port Adelaide have kicked their 8th, and Daisy Ball Ace just onto the ground.
Over 30,000. Conditions very, very warm for the players. Keane takes the football, gets a kick towards centre half forward. Bounces past the Geelong player. Out comes Fiacci. In there going in hard was Brown, but a free kick will be paid against Brown, and Fiacci will be the recipient. Fiacci, kick towards centre wing. Yates behind the spoiler. Stephen Hocking with a chance now for the Cats. Goes out towards Phillips. His high kick up towards half forward. Fiacci is there, and he takes the mark. Held his ground superbly. Got a handball away to Greg Phillips. He'll lose some kilos today, old Gregory, as he has a bounce, run through centre half, back up towards half forward, looking for Darren Smith. Over the top went Wellesby. Off hands, Tregenza with the football. Tackled by Wellesby. Loses the ball. Away they come, the Cats. Out of defence. Chance now for Rogers. Up towards full forward. Thumped away, border ground. Over towards Cameron. A chance now taken by Foster. Foster around his body. Back towards the back pocket. Wanganeen can't quite pick up the football. It's towards the boundary line. Playing the ball in front of him. Does it very skillfully, Wanganeen. Towards centre wing. Abernathy. Can he take the mark? He can. Plays on quickly. Up towards half forward. But coming out there, the Geelong player. Has the mark been paid? Yes, it has. It'll go the way of Hocking.
It appears to be Michael Cole on the outer side. And he's been a great player since replacing Darren Troy in the opening minutes of the first term when Troy pulled a hamstring. It's good depth with that kick. Johnston managed to get a hand to the football. Phillips from behind, but it's Geelong with all the runners as they paddle the ball forward. It's Keane, passes it out to a teammate. It appeared to be Couch. He puts it up high. Stoneham there, couldn't take the mark. Linda with an opportunity. Well tackled by Fiacci. The ball's still in play. In fact, has now been taken over the line, so we'll have a throw in the left forward pocket at the southern end here of Football Park. Approaching time on, we've had 23.5 minutes. It's a good tackle by Fiacci. Down towards Ginniver, high tackle applied by Linda. And Tim Ginniver will receive a free kick and hopefully set up another attack for Port Adelaide. Michael Abbott officiating with Ross Castle from Victoria. 58 plays, 102. Port Adelaide had a very good 12 minutes of this first term. Good mark taken by Smith. Wanganeen starting to find his feet in senior football. Out towards Tregenza. In turn, Rowan Smith has been extremely quiet. Out to Brown. I mentioned a number of occasions he's had a good first term. Brown's taken 3 bounces. He drives it in long. He's kicked it straight to a Geelong player, but he dropped it. But they have the numbers at the fall of the ball, and that's been the difference this afternoon as the ball is now placed out towards Phillips.
Phillips with a long kick back towards centre wing. Bounces a chance for North East now. In there is Brown for Geelong. Is supported by Cole. Cole at centre wing has a fit of the fumbles. It gets a kick, a hurry kick up towards half forward. The big man, the bear, Phillips, taps it back beautifully to Ginniver. Ginniver in turn to Abernethy. Abernethy from half back, a long kick towards half forward. Looking for Darren Smith, who's been on top of Wellsbury in this third quarter. Sedley's been a fine player. The ball eyes. Can he kick a goal? Oh, it's coming back superbly. That's Daisy Ball-Eyes' second goal. Great work on this occasion by the defence. And Port Adelaide come back at Geelong. Geelong 15-12. Port Adelaide 9-10-64. 25 minutes played in this third quarter.
And that was tremendous play. We see Smith contesting the ball. Now that was brilliant work by Setri. He stayed down. He did what a small man should do. Covered the back of the pack. Quick handball out to Borlase, who had to get that kick away quickly, but it split the centre. And 9-10 to 15-12 looks a little more respectable as we're into time on in this third term.
Umpire Mick Abbott. About to start proceedings once again. It's Keane versus Russell Johnson. Johnson over the top, the tap away. His body's going in hard, catches over the ball there, and there's King for holding the ball. Tim Ginniver will take the free kick as the Pies go into attack once more. Towards centre half forward. Up high over the top, but Darcy couldn't take the mark. Stephen Williams, supported by Brown, the loose handball. Phillips throws his body over the ball in good defensive action. And umpire Mick Abbott is forced to call once again for a bounce. But it's the Pies into attack. Almost 26 minutes gone in this third quarter.
And they're the opportunities that Port Adelaide must capitalise on. They don't come by that regularly when you're playing a class act like Geelong. The ball taken there by Stephen Hocking. He's been a consistent performer throughout the day. Drives it in long. Big leap there by Paul Brown. Couldn't take it. Phillips paddles the ball forward. Ginniver, great tackle. The handball away to Keane. Now out towards Exel. And Bruns has a paddock there. Tregenza in pursuit. But Bruns has plenty of time to steady. Drives towards goal. It's a wobbly kick. Stoneham couldn't take the mark. Play on the call. Good defensive play. George get rid of it. Too slow. Play on the call. Stoneham boot to ball, and Port Adelaide lucky to get away with only letting Geelong kick a point there. Fiacci far too indecisive.
George Fiacci there. Morgan and Reynolds. Keenan Reynolds, the former Essendon player, hasn't done a bad job at full-back. The kick-off back towards the centre of the ground, over the top. Axel couldn't complete the mark at the second attempt. This allows Phillips to go in, get the football, give it to Darren Smith. Centre wing out of side, hooks it back towards Stephen Phillips. The ball doesn't quite carry. He taps it out towards Tregenza. Borlase working hard. Been a good play in this third quarter. Not a good handball. Yates went in, missed the football. A chance now for Darren Smith. Onto the left boot, into the forward pocket it goes. Here's a chance for Hines. With him is Darcy. Hines kept the ball in play. Stephen Hocking now for the Cats. Breaks the tackle, gets a handball to Darcy, which is good football. Back towards centre wing, but it's all Port Adelaide. And this young man, Setich, Had a scintillating third quarter, young Setri. In towards centre half forward. It's not a good kick. Yates, can he complete the mark? He does. At the second attempt, handballs to catch, and away the catch go.
And once again, there was 4 Geelong players there to Port Adelaide's 2, and that allows them to take the ball out of the fence very easily. Keane with the football, drives it in long, so 2 kicks and it's down in the danger zone. Stoneham sets himself. At the back of the pack there is Reynolds. Kicks out a short pass to no one in particular. Fiachi first there. He flirts with the boundary line, but it was a kick to touch as it ends up. And we'll have a throw in the right forward pocket, southern end of Football Park. Geelong leading by 39 points. And we've had 3 minutes of time on into this third term. But no question, it's been a far higher standard of football in this third quarter by Port Adelaide. Down towards Rowan Smith, been a very quiet player. I think he nearly went the wrong way then. That's picked up by Darren Morgan and eventually punched over the line for a point. Geelong 15-14, Port Adelaide 9-10.
Kim, have you seen the performance of the new boy, Keenan Reynolds, for Port Adelaide, from the Essendon player?
Well, I think he's performed quite usefully, and when you consider Roger Delaney is lost to South Australian football, he looks a pretty ideal type of replacement. And when you also consider that Darren Mead, who is the man tipped to play fullback this season, has glandular fever, I think this man could be a handy acquisition. And this bloke here, I said he was half dead a moment ago, and he's had about 5 kicks since.
He's killed him a centre-half back in this third quarter. So has this man. Had a good, useful third quarter's ball ace since coming onto the ground. He's kicked 2 goals in the third quarter, and a fine mark by Hines. Oh, here's a chance. Williams by himself. Brown is there. There's 2 of them there. Strike me pink. He didn't raise the eyes at all, David Hines. Now they've been manned up. As we see going in there, Williams busted off the foot, full of golden opportunity. Missed by Port Adelaide as the Cats come out of defence. Well smothered, a chance for Stephen Williams. They're still in the ball game. Brown can't get a kick away. Gee whiz, that was fantastic work by the Geelong defence. Coming back towards the grandstand side. A chance now for Brown. Brown with the football. Keeps it in play. Back towards centre wing. Wanganeen. He's had a pretty good third quarter long handball. Over to Hutton. Hutton kicks towards goal. Is it coming back? Strike me bigger beauty. It's home for the Pies. David Hutton. Good work by Wanganeen. And Geelong 15-14. 104. Port Adelaide 10-10-70. Almost 30 minutes gone. Third quarter.
Only 34 points the difference, and Port Adelaide deserved to kick that. They had a few opportunities, but eventually they made the most of it. And as I mentioned, 10-10 to 15-14, 34 points. Not a great difference the way football's played nowadays, but one feels Geelong still have a few tricks up their sleeve, especially one of them called number 5, Gary Ablett, who's sitting on the bench. Stoneham just took that too easily. The handball now back towards Rogers. He's been a quiet player. Puts it up high. Underneath it is Setri and Johnston. Stoneham tried to take the mark on his chest, couldn't do so. Setri in there once more, but a free kick's been picked out, and it will go the way of Wanganeen. In fact, the advantage was already to Port Adelaide, as Tregenza was all by himself on the outer side.
He's had a good quarter, this kid, Wanganeen, along with Setri. Hines at full forwards give him someone to kick to, but he's only slight. But I tell you what, he's quick and he's very skillful. Kicks towards half forward. Darren Smith there can't complete the mark. Wellsby, a handball over towards Couch. Couch back towards centre half forward. Phillips is in there, used his body beautifully. Fiachi with a chance. Hit with a brick wall, but he'll get a free kick, George. Yes, George with the free kick. Thought about the handball and then finally gave it to Abernethy. Back towards centre wing. Grandstand side. Up hands David Brown with a chance now. Can't pick the ball up, can't keep it in play. And we saw Stephen Hocking there, about to lose his dacks. The ball goes out of play. Stephen Hocking. Boundary umpire. Johnson, Stoneham. Stoneham in front, using the body. Down to Morgan. Couch. There's the siren to end the third quarter here at Football Park. A very good quarter of football. Geelong 15-14, 104. They're 34 points in front of Port Adelaide, 10-10-70.
Yes, and the final score in the match, quarter by quarter. You see the second quarter told the story of the game where Geelong kicked 9 goals to Port Adelaide's, 1 goal 3. And that was the story of the game. They ran out winners by 52 points. The goal kickers for Geelong, Ablett 5, Cameron 3, and Gary Cameron 2. And for Port Adelaide, Hines, Borlays, Setri, Darren Smith and Hodges all booted 2. But Geelong on the day, too good for Port Adelaide, running out winners by 52 points. After the game, Kim Dillon spoke with both Malcolm Blight and also Tim Geneva.
Malcolm, congratulations. Firstly, though, you must have been pleased with the support of the South Australian football public today.
Oh, it was fantastic, wasn't it? I mean, yeah, it was just a marvellous crowd and a marvellous day for it all to happen.
And apart from some of the more seasoned players like Adelaide, who certainly did excite the crowd, you also had some good youngsters in there, like Phillips and Brown when they came onto the ground.
Yeah, they're only youngsters, and as you're saying, yeah, they just, each time we give them a sort of a senior hit out and a bit of a half a game here, they improve.
And what were the most pleasing aspects as far as you were concerned, being coach?
Well, I think, you know, our second quarter was terrific, and it was pretty tight early, and then they came back in the third quarter, and then we went on the last quarter. So I thought that, you know, I thought the game had a bit of everything, and the pleasing thing was that we won, and that's what we, you know, that's always pleasing.
Yeah, that certainly would have pleased you. Well, 9 goals in the second quarter. Where do you think that started?
I just think that, you know, we started to open up our forward line a bit and, you know, started to use some of the players a bit better. Plus, I thought our defence, our last line was terrific. They played very well.
Yeah, to me, you seem to have more players at the fall of the ball, and you settled into a better pattern or style of game a lot quicker than Port Adelaide. Talking of Port Adelaide, anyone impress you from their side today?
Well, yeah, I mean, they are a good side, aren't they? Darren Smith, I thought, had a terrific battle with Briley Brownless early, and then probably shaded David Wellesby. Young Setre, the rover, he's, you know, quite a talented type. Obviously, the lad on the wing, Tregenza, just a couple of times with that blistering pace. I mean, if he can get the ball more often, he's going to be a real danger, isn't he?
Yes, he's a very good player. Thanks very much for coming over. We hope it'll happen again, and all the best once more.
Thanks very much.
Tim, you trailed by 5 points at quarter time, and then the Cats came out with both guns blazing.
Yeah, I just felt that we panicked probably in the first quarter there. A lot of times we had chances at goal and we wasted them. You know, we kicked 3-5. I reckon it should have been 6-2 or something like that because it was just sheer panic.
I think in the first term, your smaller brigade had them worried. Yourself, David Brown was playing well, and young Setre, if he could have converted, it could have been a different story.
Yeah, I thought, you know, except for the second quarter, all the young fellas and the run-ons did, you know, not too bad considering, but, you know, the conditions and that. But really the second quarter's where they got away, and I felt that we just became a bit undisciplined and rested on our first quarter effort.
Well, there are a few new boys there. Gavin Wanganeen, I thought once he, after those few initial fumbles, I thought he played extremely well.
Going to be a good player, Wangers. He moves beautiful, left and right foot, no worries. And I think once he fills out a little bit, he's only 16 years of age, so I think he'll be a great player.
Yeah, I think he's got quite a future. Another new chap, Keenan Reynolds at fullback, very impressive.
Yeah, we're hoping that Keenan sort of sees fit to stay here and gets a game. You know, it all depends on the draft over there, but I thought he held his own very well, especially against even taller players.
All right, Timmy, it was a great start of the season.
Thanks very much, Kim.
That was Kim Dillon there talking to Tim Jenner. We'll come back with more football right after the break. Stay with us.